What part of DX world you're in, I guess. I'm sorry Mark couldn't be here tonight. We don't know why. Last minute call out, I guess. Mark's got a fairly active job. Thank you. I'm not going to sing a song.
Oh, come on.
So unfortunately Mark couldn't be here. So bottom of the barrel. I've offered to step in. All right, as we always do, we like to welcome new members. I believe we've got a new member here, is that correct?
You do, yep.
If you could stand up and tell us a bit about yourself.
Stand up. Hello, all, my name's Brisbane. Very recently moved to Brisbane from Sydney via a couple of years trying to live in Melbourne. Snooked that pretty well. I'm a VK2 for my sins at the moment still, so perhaps you'll convert me. Very nice to meet you all.
And welcome aboard.
To NTM. NTN.
Okay, and welcome aboard. As you see, it's a fairly progressive club, and the meetings are always well populated. So, all right, we've got a brand new member today. Kay has been with us a few times on different meetings, but officially she's a member today. She's just joined us. So, would you like to say a few words? Just say good day.
Look, I think I've said good day to all the guys and the new one. I've been radio for a few years, so I know a few people, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Very keen speaker.
Not bad.
Okay, great. So as you can see, the club's growing and growing every week, or every time we have a meeting. There's new members, which is really great. Proud to be part of the club, progressive club. All right. Also, I'd like to congratulate. Apparently, there was 4 people that passed their exams in the previous month. Thanks to Eddie, our main examiner, with a lot of help from Martin, of course, and Bob as well. They do a great job pushing the guys through and helping them along with their licenses. So we had 4 successful this month: Jeff, Rob, Abdi, and Tom. So congratulations to those as well. Okay, this coming weekend we've got a VHF UHF field day happening. A couple of the guys have got together and decided to have it up on Mount Cotton. For those of you that haven't been up to Mount Cotton recently, the council has built, well, I believe it's the council, has built a new platform there, viewing deck or whatever you want to call it, and it's quite huge. It's bigger than your average lookout spot that you would see out and about. So we've decided to have the field event there. It's not a bad offtake for going up to the Sunshine Coast, into Brisbane, and into the back of the Gold Coast hinterland. So hopefully we can make a few contacts there. Probably the main driver for the event will be Russell. Russell, do you want to say a few words about it? Have you had much people?
Yeah, well, I think there's been a few people with interest. Got all the gear ready. We'll be operating on 6 to 70 centimetres, 1296, 23 centimetres, and 2.4 gig. So hopefully we'll lock up a few points. And of course it's a VHF UHF contest, so the distance work is the important thing. So the calculation of the distance is the important thing, and the band. So you get multipliers of 2 metres at 1 point, 1296 is 3.5 or something like that, it might be 4 points per contact, and 2.4 gigs is like 5 points. So higher the frequency, harder it is, and more points you get. So should be a good contest. We always need help. So if you're doing nothing, come up for a bit and have a bit of a look around. We just want you to meet down the bottom of the car park at 8 o'clock if you can get there that early. But if you can't, and you can't can't make it up the hill, walk up the hill. We don't want you just to drive up willy-nilly, because if there's too many people up there, the landowners around the place might think there's a bunch of moves there and not understand that we're behaving ourselves. Give us a call on 2 metres on the repeater, we'll be listening on that. Or give us a call on the phone and come down and pick you up and give you a ride up the hill. But you can walk from the gate up to the Bay FM's station, where there will be some cars parked there. Just take a turn right, walk up a good road grade there, and then you'll see the lookout. There's also lots of bushwalkers on the weekend, so probably have a few visitors. Let's bring a seat. If you plan to be there for a while, I'm going to give up my one and bring something to drink, because it's probably going to be 32 degrees, I think.
And a portable dummy. We'll be have tea and coffee, I think.
You could bring a Daryl if you
I
like.
had to bring the gas.
Okay. There's no toilets up there, so you just have to walk through the bush. If you want to do that. And the repeater's just up further, and you could go for a walk up and have a look at the repeater site if you wanted to, but we want to try and limit the amount of people wandering around for obvious reasons. Should be a good day anyway.
So we can work from our home station, right?
Yeah, sure can do.
Is that all modes? I think, what modes are you reading?
Sorry?
Is it sideband? What modes?
Sideband. Yeah.
No FM?
No, sideband. It's real radio sort of stuff. And it'll be sort of 144, 150 or 200. So on all bands, it'll be start of the band plus
Recording frequency.
150, not on 100. There's rules about that. It's got to be above 150. So it'll be 144, 150, 432, 150, 1296, 150. Pick somewhere on 3.4.
And do QDA stations have to be in the contest as well? If you,
No.
do we just choose something?
Just got to give us grid load. We've got a lot of grid locators, so the contest will, you pass a signal report, I suppose, but a grid locator is the important thing, and then that's the calculation of distance, because you get so many points per kilometre, sort of, so aggregate gets.
Where is the grid locator?
Your grid locator. Imagine your grid locator. You look it up on the net, what is my grid locator? And you'll have a little map, you can go onto a site probably, if you get the right site, and you can find your house on the map, and the grid locator will be within a couple of kilometres of your place.
Is it only sideband, Russell, or can you use digital loads?
Sorry?
Only sideband, or you can use digital loads?
No, only sideband or FM you can use. It will be using sideband.
Yeah, digital goes a lot further, all that, you know.
Yeah, it'll all be horrible, so we'll be looking out for it. And if you want to go portable up to Walker or somewhere, go up there and give us a call, get extra points.
away.
Trying to get early.
Okay, thanks for that, Russell. So just recapping, we'll be meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning at the bottom, at the car park of Mount Cotton. There's a gate there, which is normally locked, so you can't drive your car willy-nilly up the hill. It is for those that are a little bit older, it is a fairly decent walk. So if you're not there at 8 o'clock, as Russell said, phone in or call us on the repeater. We'll come down and pick you up. If you haven't been to a UHF VHF weekend before, have a look on the WIA website. It's an official contest. It goes for 24 hours. So get the rules off the WIA website so you're familiar with what you can and cannot do. It's, as I said, a 24-hour competition.
We're only going to do 8 hours.
8 hours, but we're only going to do 8 hours. So we'll be meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning, but we won't be kicking off until 11. And I believe we go through till 7 p.m. if conditions are okay. If there's a lot of people on, if it's not raining, etc., etc. We'll see how it goes anyway. So if you haven't done it before, come and join us. It's a good way to meet up with the guys up there and have a bit of a chat. A lot of us go out on the HF weekends. This one is slightly different. As Russell said, you get a lot of points for the furthest distance. So we'll have Yagis up there and that chasing for the long distance. Some of the other clubs, they're going up to high spots, so they'll be a couple of 100 kilometres away, and we'll be trying to communicate with those guys as well. There's quite a few it's Australia-wide, so there's quite a few very active clubs get involved in this weekend. All right, that's about all I can think off the top of my head about it. Phil, would you like to take over?
So I should talk about the Redland Museum, which is happening fast now after a quiet period. The museum itself is having a meeting on Thursday this week to have approval amongst the members to go ahead with us. I'll be there, Ralph will be there, Mark will be there. Anybody else wants to come along, please attend that meeting, 2 o'clock at the Redland Museum this Thursday, which we'll be presenting to the museum, and all going well, we'll be approved. And that means from next month, we can meet there, all going well. So the first meeting there will be the 4th of July, and you'll get plenty of notice about that. We'll certainly tell you if that, assuming that goes ahead. But what that means, though, is the other part of it, not just the meeting rooms, but our Radio Shack and the workshop training room, we need to get going on those. We are going to fund and build those. So we have to get cracking on them if we're going to do that. The Radio Shack will be, that's just a stock image there, but that's a Radio Shack. It'll be a working Radio Shack, HF and VHF, a public display. When we're not there, we'll have a master key, turn the power off to it, but it'll be there on display all the time. So we've got to build that in a sense of putting some desks, some chairs, some electrical, antennas, some coax, wall charts, and equipment there, and computers. So we've got to do that. And I'll talk about that in a minute. The other task is the workshop training room, which is going to be under the veranda at the back. And that's going to have 4 or 5 workstations there for hands-on training. It's a small room, but it'll be ours, dedicated for our use only. Now, how do we do that? The agreement we have with the Redland Museum says that we will fund them. We'll fund them, we'll build them. The fixed assets, i.e. any building, stays with the Redland Museum if we leave, but all the equipment is ours to keep. It's our equipment, right? So to the extent that we buy radios, antennas, PCs, tools, whatever, that's ours. But to the extent we build some walls, that will stay with the museum. How do we fund that? With free money, basically. The Gambling Community Benefit Fund is the way the Queensland Government recycles gambling profits that they take. We use that for the Mount Cotton project. We got a $30,000 grant from there. No, $34,900 from the Gambling Fund for that. And we're eligible again. Now, the next grant cycle closes on the 15th of July, i.e. a month away. Now, the application is not hard to do. It's quite straightforward applying. We're registered. We can apply. We're eligible for it. And I'll give you some idea, if you look at this here, of the latest round, who gets awards. It's quite enlightening. I'll zoom that up a bit. Can you see that there? That's the A's. Yeah. How's that? So under the A's there, you can see Alzheimer's Association, 30,000. Oh, I beg your pardon. Talk to myself. No, there's pages of it.
Is it on the presentation about?
It is now.
Just carry on.
How's that? There's pages and pages. The Barrella Junior Rugby League Club got $10,000. The Bayside Flyball Racing, whatever flyball racing is, got $22,000. The Belmont Ladies Bowling Club, $12,000. There's pages and pages of grants that are awarded. There's plenty of $30,000, $35,000 there. Better Together, still left $35,000. All right. So you get the picture that if we get our act together, get a good budget, a good plan, we can get free money, basically. So given that there's quite adequate funding available, the approach we'll take is we'll design something that's really high quality, in both in Radio Shack and in the workshop, and something we can be proud of and really want to use. But what that means is we need to know what we're going to do. The committee can put the grant application in, but we're up to the members to tell us what you want to build now. So pretty quickly, in the next couple of weeks, we need a design, conceptual design, a bill of materials, i.e. a shopping list, an exhaustive list, everything we want to buy, supply and price, the total cost, a timeline, and I'm really looking for members here to take that on as a challenge. Design a Radio Shack. There's your challenge. That's the space as is now. It's this part here, and down to here. They'll move this display away, and we'll have this space here. It's kind of 2 meters by 2 meters, and a wall height of 4 meters high behind it. It's a corner. Yeah. You see here, there's a meter box, a power box there. We'll move that and get it out of the way. Basically, we'll have this corner here. That's what I'm asking the members to tell us. So really what I'm... Yeah. So how would you like to do this, guys? Would you like to work as a team or individually? Send me a shopping list.
I think the question, are we going new stuff or was it just with old stuff as well?
Well, I think we want to have some old valve gear, 1 or 2 bits of old valve gear there. But why not buy new gear? You know, if it's going to be funded. You know, if the budget won't stretch it, we'll get some second-hand gear. But somebody's got to come up with a list of what we're going to buy.
Well, the figure only really needs 7,300 and 9,700. That covers it, doesn't it?
That could be one approach, but there are other approaches. There could be, yeah.
Those two side by side will cover pretty much everything.
Oh, and the linear. And the tri-band B.
Yeah.
Your power.
So it's power supplies, computers, coax runs. We need a complete list, right?
So does that include fit out, shelves, tables?
Yep. They've got to be quite. Now we can buy second-hand benches and things and whatever, but somewhere we've got to have a budget that has exhaustive every single thing in there. Everything has to be covered.
Well, just a question, the desk on the right-hand side, where they've got the white poles coming out, is that a window or is that
It's actually this more display down here, and that steps down about a metre down behind here.
okay?
So we'll have this corner here, basically.
So what I'm asking though is, is that a window?
Is it a window or an open wall?
It's an open wall there.
It's just a frame.
Just a frame.
Should we close it off?
Whatever we'd like to do.
It gives us more room to put things.
Yeah.
what do you want to tell the public? Because this is the public view, this is not our own spot. So where the gentleman's and the right side is sitting and looking at us is great in the sense that we may have 2 or 3 public people on chairs alongside us saying, why do we do it? Why can't we do this? So not just, when we're thinking about setting this up, we're not just thinking about a hand talking to hands. We're talking about the public talking to a hand who may well be talking to public, or the public is looking at our display. So what do you want to tell them about our hobby or and the love of our life? So how broad do you want to take this? Do you want to try and do something as AMCA wide, in other words, full radio spectrum? Or are we going to say something simple that a high school is going to grab, just like that? Say, oh yeah, I can understand that. I know what's going on. So there's in a sense, there's charts, there's images, there's monitors to go. There's quite a few things that you wouldn't actually put in your own shack, but you need to do because the public, to take an interest in this and come back to it a second time, needs something that stirs something within inside them. So what are we going to put there that generates interest?
Well, what's your public today? What we're looking at? Computers, flashy screens and stuff like that. That's what's going to end up, most of it. People want to see a big monitor and to see like the waterfall displays and things like that. That's the type of thing the public would like to see on it and see how you get from that. But it's also being a museum. And I'm all for the latest generation of equipment on it because it can do all those fancy things. But add to that a few older radios as well to show the evolution of radios from some of the old. If somebody can put up a crystal set in one corner and to where we are in digital, to show the progress of this whole process. That will give you a better display on it because your radio set is going to occupy that you're going to use. It's actually a very small portion of this whole display. But it's all the other add-ons that you can put onto that will make it an interesting display. I mean, and this is what your subcommittee that's going to design the things got to come up with and present it to the members and say, okay, let's take a few ideas. That's just my suggestion.
Progressive generation.
Yes, correct.
One of the things that was mentioned to me when I mentioned this previously is that the current kids like to come up to things, how does it work? Punch, you put your fingers on it. Now, how can we work to say that, we protect our gear from the kids going, oh, I reckon I can turn this knob and twist that knob.
Our perspex lighting panels.
Some of that information, but you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, they're valid points. And I mean, Michael's point's right. You get a 9700 and a 7300 and you're set, right? But it's so small.
That's correct.
You know?
Put up big screens,
So we could have a couple of big monitors up here. Yeah. We can have a map of the world, call signs. We have your frequency spectrum chart with another thing. A poster about BDARS, post about the hobby. But this needs a team effort, What I would build is not what somebody else would build, right? So how are we going to get ideas from this group?
Okay, now the first thing, your grant, is that going to include for this part and the workshop?
Yes, in fact, the last Dave,
you have to be very careful what you select and how you build because you can spend a lot of money just on the shelving.
I
did. If you don't do a proper job about that.
I did put a budget here. Didn't I have a budget? Dave, I've talked to Dave about the training workshop. Maybe Dave, you might give us your ideas what that would look like.
Well, we know that. That's what I'm saying.
I've got a pretty good list of that already done. We've got the benches will be nothing can be done until the benches are made. I suggest we make those because they'll be custom type benches that we need. So it'll be the benches. I should imagine there'll be 3 of those in an L-shaped fashion. And they're going to cost us probably $300 a piece. And there'll be a couple of cupboards on the side. And then there'll be all the test gear and the soldering irons and the oscilloscopes and that sort of stuff. But, I don't think it'll be too difficult. just gonna take time.
So for the benches and also the radio console, it's all gonna be removable.
Well, if you screw at the wall, it's theirs, right? If it's tables like this, we can take it, it's then it's ours, right?
So it's gonna be freestanding. Well, we're gonna decide, do we wanna leave it and enjoy the game if we go anywhere else? Or we wanna take it with us?
We'll be there forever. One of the things I need to design the shops, that's all. You've got the book rack type of thing, and you can run it.
Must be like a concert.
So just a big picture, if we get the grant in July, we won't get this award until October, I bet, time they sit through and they award in October. Now, we might do something interim between them. We might just put a couple of second-hand benches up and
Start up.
yes,
But,
we'll
but,
start.
but if we know we've secured the grant, we can use our own funds as well to start it.
We won't know till October, that's what I'm saying. So,
But then when do you get the grant? When does that get?
but October.
October?
Yeah.
So
And,
they don't advise you beforehand?
No, no,
But you
no.
should-
and anything you spend before that, you can't spend grant money on. So we could donate, we could lend some equipment there, run some coax and put a temporary antenna up, for example, but we can't spend money yet. And the club's got money, but we can't get the money off the grant thing.
So with the grant, are you wanting itemised, do you actually have to itemise how much money, or can you just say we want to get the $35,000 together?
When you apply for the grant, you need a budget, right?
Yeah.
Now they want to show every connect, every bit of coax, whatever.
Or they do want to see?
No, they don't want to see
Oh, they
that.
don't, right.
Okay. But you have like $350 for coax, right? And $4,000 for radio gear, without saying exactly what it is.
Yeah.
We don't want to specify necessarily Yaesu.
That's right.
Right? But we need to know amongst ourselves what it is, you know?
So it seems to me, Phil, that we need to probably understand the vision for what it is we want to do. You know, do we want it to be a temporary setup? Do we want it to be a permanent setup? Do we want it to be something where we're attracting new people? Do we want it to be for our own benefit? So once we decide, once we understand what the purpose of it is, then we can say, okay, now we know, probably have a better idea of, that's probably the first decision.
Yep. Well, it's a display to promote the hobby and to promote the club, basically. And for us to use as well, too, obviously.
It needs to be seen as part of the museum, in a sense. It's not our corner, in a sense. It's
My plan.
It's more, we are part of the museum, so there needs to be a little bit of integration in what the museum is dreaming about doing. So this is where your timeline comes in when you're talking about the crystal sets and so on, so that you can show at least the museum that you are trying to be with them or part of their vision, and then show what else. And in a sense, there's also a room for, say, something in the future maybe. Like, we find there's a real drive towards software radio. So, you know, are we going to look at SWR type stuff? Audio disc. So is there going to be a computer running SWR, whatever, to whatever, that has a slave screen? And can we have another computer that hooks into Mount Cotton and uses Mount Cotton's transceiver?
Definitely. Yeah.
So I was suggesting probably that we set up a particular day that we would sit and do a brainstorming, the initial part. From there, we'll get a team together that will then focus one on the workshop and then one on the display area. And then lay that in front of the group in our meeting here, and then by that way come up to more confirmed design.
What do you think about that, guys?
Yes, sounds good.
It's actually maybe worth meeting, do brainstorming there.
Yeah.
Just say you've got something tangible, and you know, photo's good, but I'm saying, if you were standing there, we could go, okay, that's a standard size bench, is that way, you know,
Yep.
whatever it was. Yeah, to be able to actually.
Yeah, you need to visualize.
Yeah, we need to be there, I mean, a group of people need to be there.
Well, how about,
Set up a volunteer group and then we start.
yeah, towards the end of next week, could suit. The antenna's the other thing, you know, we need the dipole, whatever, an HF antenna's got to be broadbanded. We can't have a narrowband, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Just unplug the mics and take it with us when we're not there.
Is the shack and the training room in one particular area, like, or is it two separate?
They're two separate areas. This is in the main, beg your pardon. That's in the main display. It's probably the best real estate in the whole museum, if you ask me. It's a really hot spot. People walk past it all the time here. It's a busy museum. There's people there all the time. But the training room is down the back and the veranda. Nobody goes there. It's behind their own workshop. So that'll be ours. It's not for public entry.
So our displays don't interact with display here?
Well, there are other ones, I think. Yeah.
Are we going to only want to man this display when there's actually people?
Yeah, your name's down.
Yes,
During
because you don't do anything at all.
During these busy times, when the busy period is, like Saturdays, probably, they open Sundays.
I have 7 days a week there.
Yeah.
From 10 to 3 or 10 to 4. Now, in my mind, I sort of thought we might have a roster on a Tuesday afternoon with there, or when there's activity going on down there, but we probably could have manned all the time, I don't think. But it doesn't need to be any fixed schedule either. We could just occupy it when we like.
Yeah, we need to like work out what activities will be available for people to do when there's nobody there at all, like no radio members at all, and what will be able to be done. Like not the transmitting on the radio.
Yeah.
Take 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's the old radio running all the time, and people look at the figures running for.
I think we should have a camera on the side so we know what's going on.
Well, it may be as simple as having a little volume control and tune into that day one that picks up the satellite in Europe.
Yep.
You know, turn this up and you can listen to satellite conversation. You know?
So then you take the digital stuff, like the presentation we had last session, we had a good digital presentation. So you could then almost talk to somebody on the side. The problem with talking is legislation. You need to have a license to talk anywhere on the interbands. So we can't say to the public, here, have a go, unless they're using your call sign, and you're there watching them.
I don't think the intention is to open it for public to operate the radios.
No,
We don't want to do that. The intention is as a display and they can watch people operate. License and cruise.
And they can operate too under a supervision.
Correct, they can, but you try to avoid it because then it becomes a problem with these children.
My sister be interested in that already?
What's wrong with the
Yeah, what's wrong with children? Don't allow the children.
To get the grant, we won't actually run itemised the dollar construction cost, will we? We do an estimate, and we don't get quotes, we didn't quotes from our cotton exactly, we just guessed, didn't we?
Well, if it's just buying some benches here and some desks, we can get a price of that. It's the workshop, we'll need some construction there. Now, what they've done inside the building is use these insulated panels, you know, like they build cool saws out of.
Yeah.
And they're a metre wide by yay high. And Tony, who runs the property on there, he just said, line the veranda with that, make a door out of that, it's done. You know, it's a cheap job to do. As long as it's waterproof. Yeah, a big lock on it, you know, and maybe it's a lock that only we've got a password to. Well, clearly, we've only got a password to. Yeah. So we'll have to budget for that, but whether we can get a quote or not, I'm not sure.
How much is 5 cents?
So we won't need quotes for the grant. To apply for the grant?
No, we don't need quotes, no.
Just estimates. We can do that.
Okay, great question. Without being, what if we don't get a grant? How much can we basically spend if we don't get any money?
Zero.
No, realistically, you have to look at it, because not everyone gets a grant.
Well, no, I would say no, honestly, everybody does get a grant. Touch wood, you know, cross fingers and everything.
Yeah.
But seriously, it's a very generous system, really it is.
They've got to get rid of the money somehow.
It is. It's a great way to recycle government money back to the community. Now, if we didn't get a grant for whatever reason, probably because the secretary didn't sign a document or something. You know, we could build this with some second-hand benches and borrowed gear. We could do it cheaply, couldn't we?
Try again next year.
But it's every quarter they do it, and we got
So
success. We got 2 grants last time round.
So we could have a grant to build the shack display and then apply for another grant to build up the workshop.
No, because once you get 1 grant, you've got to build it, equip that. When it's equipped, then you wait out another grant period and then you can apply again. So it might take 6 months to spend the money here, then another quarter, so 9 months, and another 3 months to get it, so it's a year. It's better than one big grant for a whole lot. But $35,000, you can build it off for $35,000.
So can't you just tell them we need $17,500 for the display and $17,500 for the workshop?
Or 35, right?
We could do that.
I mean, as far as, you know, you don't have to.
It needs a bit more detail than that, but you know, I mean, we can't be lazy. We've got to get this right, guys. You know, not least of all, we're engaging with the museum. They want to see us thinking about this thing, and we need to show them what we're going to do.
Because for the shack, for the actual radio, $10,000 in just radio gear should buy a hell of a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, your 9,700, let's just say going back, your 9,700 and your 7,300 with a couple of antennas, I mean, $5,000 to cut that. You know, then you've got another $5,000 on top of that for whatever else.
It makes some PCs, there's some antennas. You know, the Bushcom wideband antenna we got at Mount Cotton is stainless steel. It's not cheap. It was $950 something. But they're good, right? We know they're broadband and they're good well.
Yeah.
But we need masts. We've got to support the antenna somehow. And we might need a rigger for the roof. I don't know. Yeah. So it's got to be an exhaustive list. Otherwise, we get the radio gear in and we can't access the roof and antenna. So. But in my mind, $35,000. Well, Dave, I'm not sure. I know it's like $100,000, Dave, but.
Oh, no, we'll get away with half that. We'll spend half people in trouble.
I mean, but we can buy what we can with whatever 35 is for that. And then apply later on, because as our needs grow, you need more equipment on it. We can apply another grant to substitute something like that. So I mean, the first phase of this whole thing is to get the basics of the radio going, get the basics of a workshop going with the grant that we have, and then work around that. For the time being, we've got some radios that we use for competitions and things like that, but still, once we've done that, then we can carry on and work for another grant and get all the nicer equipment, better testing equipment and things like that.
I agree. I think the more important thing is to work on how we get some decent antennas set up there and how it's a good display, like Roger said. It's got to be appealing. What appeals to us, 9700, won't attract the public, you know.
Well, show you this photo of the great pole that you done so easily put up.
We were just speaking.
So that's not that expensive.
There's trees there too, like we can build an antenna between trees.
No.
We were just speaking out about the antennas, and it's getting good news engineered.
Any masts to put up,
Yeah.
public areas will need to be engineered, so there'll be an extra cost in that.
Something to think about. Yes, that's good. So what is saying if I'll send some emails out and we'll plan a working bee, like a think tank session.
Any volunteers for the subcommittee?
Well, who is interested in doing this?
I can work out some document stuff, making documents.
I'll put my hand up. No.
With the antennas, are we any height restrictions or?
10 meters, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, will they let us go higher if we get a permit?
Well, I've explained to them as much as I can.
Yeah.
Whether they actually hear what I'm saying, I'm not sure. Okay, so.
Because the council said you can go as high as you like, as long as it's engineered. So.
Well, you know, let's not abuse the friendship straight up.
No, but I mean, surely that if we put, say, a 50-foot tower up, are they going to say no?
Yes, they will say no.
So we're limited to 30
Well, not least of all, there's no real estate, right? Their building occupies the entire lease area pretty much, with a metre around the perimeter. They've got no space to put big towers up.
But how are we gonna put up the wideband bush range in our town? Like, what are we gonna support?
Well, we need to go and have a look at it in detail.
Much as discussed, the loading cost.
Okay, I've got Johan and Michael. Anybody else wants to have a hand on this?
What day is it? When you go?
I don't know yet.
Got a day yet?
For this, I'll be into next week. I'm away in Sydney the weekend, so into next week. Into next week.
Yeah, I won't be here.
I think it's probably the truth that we kick it off and then take off, and make sure we all know, so that we can turn out.
Sure.
Because at this stage, I can't volunteer stuff, so I don't know what I'm doing.
Seriously, tell us you don't know what you're doing.
Who else? Who wants to have a play? Design your dream radio shack. Jeff, you're going to build one yourself. You want to have a play in this?
Yeah, I'm keen to. I still work full time and I'm tied up all week. So if you're talking about going on a weekday, I can't do it.
Yeah.
That's my challenge.
Sure.
But I'm happy to be involved. Absolutely.
You guys will help.
Good on you, Christian.
But I think it'd be good to get out there and just draw up a floor plan of exactly what we've got.
Some people have
Know what the footprint is. You know, to go out there and actually, a few of us to go out there and actually just have a good sit here and think, this is where we put stuff.
Yeah. And attendance too.
Yeah, and even coax runs a big thing too, and you need coax outside. Absolutely. Because then we have to start drilling holes in their building.
I think they're probably okay with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, but this is just something else, you know, we need to make sure.
All right. Dave, any more you want to add to the workshop? We'll get the leftovers of your money. Whatever money we get, you'll take it all and we'll get rid of it.
Actually, I'm surprised how much you can get for the amount of money. I really am. But the list of much said about 12 grand or something.
Okay, which is some multimeters, oscilloscope, soldering irons.
Heaps of stuff, and the spectrum analyzers, the network analyzers. As you said, dream to the top and we can cut it back.
Yeah.
But, I'll talk to Bob and see what he thinks to do. And the biggest problem though, is a lot of the stuff will probably have to come from China. Yeah, how do we do that and make the mob that supply the money happy? For example, the bench power supplies.
Yeah.
The only places we've got to get them all paid, the mob who make them, and they are on AliExpress. And they're the Rolls Royce of everything. But how do we get that? Under our name sort of stuff.
I don't think that's an issue. I don't think it's an issue.
Visa.
Yeah. It's not an issue. I mean, you saw the list before. People are buying lawnmowers and vehicles and things all come from overseas. So.
Usually
they've got it's like buying input to the government. If you want to buy some mouses or eBay, it's like, oh, you can't buy off eBay because they haven't got an ABN and stuff like this. And it was all real hustle to try and get some computer mice. That's the question.
So we need to work that sort of thing out first.
Well, we had no problem last time, Dave. That's like that stuff. Bob, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say something. Well, I remember the museum's ad competition of the workshop business.
Correct.
So we've got a budget for an ad kind of like,
Yep.
can't work in a instrumentation.
No, that was the idea. We had one of those things there.
Yeah.
That's a good extraction plan for snow and stuff, isn't it?
Probably should do for solar smoke is going to be,
And will we get some surface mount soldering gear?
Yep, oh yeah, put all that in the list here.
Good, good.
Compressor, the drive, and everything.
There'll be no money left in the radio shack, guys. So, all right.
You want to see the list?
Yeah. Oh, right. Run through the highlights, Dave.
Okay, soldering stations, going to use the Hago ones. There's be 4 of them at $200 a piece, each. The power supply is the one I talked about coming out of China. These are something like 60 volt, fully variable or programmable ones. They do about 18 amps or whatever. There's 4 of those at $300 a piece. The hot air soldering station, and they're $60 each for 4 of them. We've got the oscilloscope, 4 oscilloscopes, $1,000 each. Bench multimeters, $350 each. There'll be a silicon mat solder, tip cleaner, solder wick flux, alcohol dispensers, anti-static bench battery, solder paste dispensers, air compressor, triocular boom microscope, spectrum analyzer, network analyzer. And it's only coming out about 12 grand at this stage.
Yeah.
If we surprise us.
There's a bunch of hand tools need like pliers and.
They're not that expensive, those.
Well, guys.
You need to commit it to rob that.
Yeah. Okay. How about you, mate? Leave it with me. I'll set up a date the next 10 days or so.
Okay, that consumed a bit of time, but I think it was well worthwhile because this is an important next step in the club's activity. And if we get this little section right, I think we'll be laughing. So all good. All right, so club activities done. Guest talks. Roger, regulation refresher.
I will give you a quickie because it is 8:30.
Okay, quickie.
So you're not going to get to that point, just a couple of questions. Because we do need to have a look at Mark and what Phil's going to say. So if I said to you across the radio, Romeo Alpha Delta India Oscar, what word am I saying? Radio. Radio. Fine. If I said to be Shaq, how are you going to tell what are you going to tell me? If I was saying QRL, what am I saying?
Never used it.
You should have. You should know it. It is this frequency busy.
We just want us to get it out.
Right? I remember reading it on my cheat sheet.
You don't actually know the difference. Nobody knows what it means.
QRM.
Yeah, I can believe that, right?
Okay. Not just interference. Can we have a little more information, please?
QRM and QRM.
QRM and Mary. Let me use the right word. QRM is what I'm using.
Interference caused by man-made.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and QRN.
Static interference.
Static crashes is the way they put it in the book. That's why I'm in trouble by static. QRO.
QRO is communication.
Increasing transmitter power. Now, I don't trust those words. If I'm saying QROU, increasing transmitter power, and I'm sitting on 100 watts, and all I'm going to do is 100 watts, what does it mean? It means absolutely nothing. Right, so, while the book will tell you QRO is increasing transmitter power, I'm not sure how it's fully used.
Is that to warn someone that they're going to increase your power?
Look, I've never heard it used, but I don't listen to
The medicals may use it.
sorry?
The medicals may use it, I think you want that.
A lot of experts use CW, so. Unless you.
You're right. Russell makes the point about CW and he is right. So I'll call that the score and we'll hold the other bit.
You'll find that.
Thank you, Roger. Always.
That always gets us thinking about the rules and regulations. Okay, Mark was going to give us a talk tonight on his Oculus Rift, 3D glasses, etc. He's got a pair of those. He was going to bring them up and demonstrate them, but unfortunately can't be here tonight. So Phil's already had a talk about the Raglan Bay Museum. I see there's a couple of boxes here. Johan, have you got any? Okay, so Michael has got a talk on
Danger, man.
something.
Danger, man.
Just a little project I thought I'd bring along. I did bring this a few weeks back, but it's a project I've been working on. This is going to be my mobile HF station. I'm into dirt bikes and adventure bike riding. So the right-hand pannier on my bike can be removed, obviously, and I've built this aluminium box to go in its place. It's still in the phase of construction, obviously, fully waterproof, so I've made it so it's actually got a seal on it there. Currently 2 batteries in it, just a couple of lead acids, they're brand newies, very cheap. Both of them were about $50 for the pair, from memory. So what this will do is have an Anderson plug, or 2 Anderson plugs on the front, 1 Anderson plug will go to another Anderson plug on the bike, so it'll be charging as you're riding to the spot, whatever you're doing. And then on the back here, all the coax connectors for various, whatever I put into it will be there. These 2 tubes, one's to hold the switch, hold the transport, and one's to hold the 70cm Yagi when I'm going, wherever I'm going. So I mainly brought this along so people could have a look at it and give me some ideas on how to kit it out. At the moment, it's just empty. But what I'm going to have is a panel here, and then when Scott was here the other week, I had a look at that GG radio of his, and it actually fits acrossways that way. But I'm sort of more leaning towards something like an MT818 to be able to do this thing that's happening up at Mount Cotton, to be able to do the HF and the VHF. So the reason I've made this is because being an adventure bike, it can go not as off-road as a proper dirt bike can, but it can go to a lot of places, or go heaps of places that road bike cannot. And then once you've done that, to be able to get to almost a peak, you can just basically lift this off the bike and walk it up to wherever you want to go. So I brought this in, 1 to show people, and 2, people can start maybe giving me some ideas on how I would kit it out. So yeah, it's you know, I came from initially came from an engineering, fabricating type background, which is the skills I used to make that. It is a bit rusty, don't look too closely at it because I haven't done it for a long time. But yeah, that's something I've been working on, and I thought it'd be good to bring tonight, seeing as though we're talking about this UHF, VHF, and we're going to do up at time. But if anyone can give me any ideas on anything I can do with it,
We've got some insulation in there.
well, yeah, I could do that. I mean, I don't know if it's going to get that hot.
After getting a solar panel on the one side.
Yeah, so the other thing I'm also looking at, I've got some solar panels at home, and what they're probably going to do is, so that sits on that side of the bike, on the right side. I've got a solar panel which I think is about that big, I'm not sure. It's just a commercially made one I've had for a long time. That would probably sit there as well, and I'll be able to just tilt that out and obviously just face that into the sun for when we're doing any of this sort of stuff. So yeah, basically that's like an all-in-one portable radio station, but you don't have to walk it all the way up the mountain because I can ride my bike most of the way and then just carry it just that last little bit.
You're not going to operate the radio while you're on the bike.
No,
So
I can't hear it. So yeah.
You've got the only thing I could comment is that if you mount something firm on that and it's sitting on the back of your bike, vibrate, and you'll find nuts will fall off and
Okay.
your radio will fall to bits.
Right.
That's what I was thinking, that insulation to keep.
Okay. Yeah. As I say, this is all stuff I need to know. So whatever people could suggest, I may very well, in that case, the mounting, the actual face plate in here, I may make some mounts down there and mount them on some old valve springs that I've got. So the whole plate is actually floating that the radios are mounted in.
Yeah. Or even if you mount
Yeah, that still won't work because I carry a drone snap on my bike and my panniers, and I use that commercial compressed foam. Yes. Cut out and shape with stop the foam on all sides of that. Yep. To help cushion because when you go off road, you're going to get a couple of bumps. That's starting to jar even if you've got valve springs or something like that. That's going to be
Yeah, that's what I was thinking,
It's
something
certainly
soft,
radio.
keep
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
keep it, it's not gonna get any
Because
vibration.
that's cutting it out to the exact shape in that sort of part of the commercial foam, more denser foam, I suppose, with the softer foam around that. Yep. Will definitely protect it from it. Yeah, well, there you go. So in which case I could actually fabricate the box to be, you know, maybe an inch bigger all the way around and then pack it in that foam. See, that's something I hadn't even thought of.
In and out,
And you slide it out as you need. Yeah. So this is all stuff, you know, as I say, I'll leave it up. I'll leave it my experience when I've taken my bike off. Yeah, and that's why I brought it along. So I'll leave it up here once, you know, when you're wandering around, you can have a look and tell me what you think. In my box I had a iPad inside the patio with, my camper gear and everything like that. When I got there, the spring was all cracked. Oh, did? Okay. All right. Oh, as I say, any suggestions anyone can make, just let me know and I'll take them down. So thanks so much for listening.
Okay, thank you, Michael, and feel free to come up and talk to Michael offline and give him a few more ideas. Okay, Johan is going to talk about the antennas. Over to you.
Okay, just get this thing going, yeah? Okay, so
It's moving.
Oh, Greg, I'll tell you what, I've got Michael.
Almost there.
now there is an edge at the bottom that would have caught it. It's running over it. Okay, so last year, this time, I packed the utes and packed the trailer and then went out to Cape York, all the way up there. And we had a lovely 5 weeks traveling and all that. And lo and behold, there were certain things that happened on those. So my VHF or UHF radio was more a stainless steel type of work that I had. And I also had my 2 meter 70 centimeter antenna on this thing. And I had this antenna up on my blue bar mounted. First thing, the UHF antenna, commercial UHF antenna, decided to snap in two because of your natural frequencies. Because the car, your chassis and bull bar is mounted as one piece, and your cab is on top of rubbers as we mounted on top of your chassis. So your cab itself takes a lot less vibration than what your chassis and your bull bar has. And that vibration is then transferred into your antennas as well. So I had this antenna when my UHF radio packed up because we were using that most of the time. Well, I just switched over to this antenna and the SWR is about 1.8 on that frequency. It was okay. We used it like that for the rest of the trip. Till this one decided to pack up as well on that. And so yes, the reason of that, and this is the particular, I don't know how many of you know this antenna. It's a fantastic antenna. Works quite well. Had it for many years. I had one which I first bought in 2005 and used it back in South Africa all the time there. And 2015, I had a bit of an accident on my shed where I had it down and I took my roof rack and the roof rack fell over and broke the insulator part of the center part. I bought a new one and it lasted till 2021 up north when it broke. Then out of the two, then I bought up the one that I've got right now. So I realized I had to do something because as from next year I plan to do a lot of traveling out from that side and do it for a good antenna. So I could do. Now yeah, as I explained here, is bull bar mounted, stainless steel ports that develop a resonant vibration, and metal fatigue has its way with it as well. And then I decided, well, let's look at what the off-road industry actually doing with these more expensive antennas. And it's actually just basically a fiberglass and normal stainless steel antenna fitted inside a fiberglass tube. Some time ago, I built a 1296 antenna and I had it here and I showed the people the antenna and how I built it, the fiberglass tubes that I used. And these tubes then, you get in 2 meter length, all like that. And that's how you buy commercial. I'll send it around so people can have a look at these type of tubes that's available. So this is how it was mounted on. I had a UHF antenna on the one side and I had then this super gainer antenna on the other side. And obviously both of them failed in the process on it. So I had to do some more work on it. First thing I had to do, right, is to get myself a good spring antenna for that. Now this is it's the heavy duty spring I can get. The extra heavy duty one is a massive, it's nearly double the size of it. I didn't want to have that size of spring on my bull bar hats. I've got some of them because I use it for my HE verticals I have. So I bought this one on it, but I still feel, well, it's got some limitations on it and I'll modify this one further if we talk. Yeah, if I continue with this thing. Right, from there on then, this is a process. I first had to put it in the lathe, cut a little bit down onto the center insulator on the plastic part of it, for a simple reason, because to fit into the thinner part of this tube. And then some fiberglass, and that's the end result now. This whole antenna is now built into this antenna now. I can see that around. So it's a fairly big antenna because it's 1.5 meter, just over 1.5 meter, using fiberglass, and did the whole process of cutting it through. Then machined it down to get it nicely shaped on it itself. And the final phase of haven't finished it is that once I've done it, it's going to get black fiberglass onto that part of it, and then do the sandpaper down with say 800 grit, 500 grit or 800 grit, get a nice smooth finish on it, and then that will be my mobile antenna and mount it with a spring. What I also plan to do is to machine a cut that fits over the bottom part and to the base part of that, just to strengthen it, because you only got a certain limited amount of torque that you've got in the stereo QC9 just to do the bottom support of that antenna itself. The lumen test on it, it's worst case is about 1.5 on 144 and 1.2 SWR on 70 centimeters throughout the band. Pretty flat band antenna that I can use.
Just a question, Johan, is it resin filled?
Not resin filled. Right. I didn't fill it with resin. It's got spaces. Antenna, I've made up some spaces inside it.
Yep.
To support it all the way down.
And what have you made? I'm just thinking about dielectrics here.
Teflon.
Teflon, right. If you resin filled it, I mean, would that
I
be
didn't-
dielectric to change the SWR?
Okay. I wanted to, when I finish with this whole thing, be able to take it out and put it back. Once I tied the bottom down, I couldn't take it out. I didn't want to, I could probably, if I did enough force on it, because I made it such a way I could take it out, but when I tightened up the fiberglass at the bottom, I did too good a job there. So yes, that's where it is right now. Now I mounted that on the spring to absorb some of that vibration itself and have the thing more sturdy. I think will solve the problem. So we'll test it and see what goes from here on. Any ideas, suggestions?
It'll be fine over corrugation, but if we put that up, we might.
So what? No. What? I'm making a cup over here, so that thing that screws inside this cup as a supporting base for it. So the all the torsional part will actually carry it on this bottom part, metal part, not so much on the thread. No. It's going to be a solid aluminium that fits tight onto that thing. When it screws in, it will fit very tight with it. So I'll machine it off to do it. Yes, it will slide over there.
What if you use like one of those coating with rubber, you know, they have on the big HF auto tunes? If you use those 4 rubbers, then have your spring, would that absorb a lot more of the?
Well, you see, the thing is what I set up with at the moment, there's 2 options on it. I can either mount it on the cab, where it's got less vibration already. Or you can mount your rubbers on the bottom of this part of it. But you see, this spring will carry much of that vibration as well. That's what the intention is, and that's what I'm going to do. Because on the other antennas of one of my guys at Wimping outside, he had one of these GE antennas, the same design, and no problems at all, nothing at all. And everybody had the spring with the fiberglass type of tube antenna, no problems at all. Yet everyone had just a bare sensitive antenna at all. Of those that I met.
Don't know if I make a fiberglass one with a spring like that, that's molded in.
So, okay, let me explain what I want to do here.
Yeah.
So what my plan is,
So you can undo it. Yeah.
so it will screw in like that.
Yeah.
And if I draw a picture, so I've got the flat part here, and then obviously your spring part that fits like that. Then I've got the antenna base that's going to screw in flat like that, because inside here I've got my SA239 for that. Over here, I'm going to turn a piece of aluminium that's going to fit up like that. Tubed up. So a lot of the torque will be supported by this thing, and very tight fit on the side. So as it screws in, the screw will be held by this SO239. This will be just part of the torque. And then I can put a grub screw lock nut in there, and as well as part of this base, put a grub screw lock nut in to lock that base into it. That's the intention, what I have to make it, but as it is like this already, if I tighten it up, it's a very stable type of thing, and it's got enough flex in it. May end up that it may bend a lot because of your movement. That's what I'll still have to see before I go. I've got a bigger spread. This is my first attempt.
Where do you get the rocks? Where are they? Where do you get those?
I said a day actually. It's some other, what's that? Can you remember?
Sydney somewhere, they put it.
Aye.
Was there in Sydney, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think I've got it in the presentation. Just hang on. Where's my? You just go back. Where's my?
Something good for making X beams. Smaller diameter ones.
Pacific Composites. XL Composites. That's where I got a tube from. And last time I had that as 1296 collinear antenna. Same design. Picked from this using fiberglass as well. Okay, I think that's what I bring to you. Oh, sorry, you want to go back?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, hang on.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks, Johan, for that. Quite interesting. I've got one of the old-fashioned stainless steel ones, so I'm just waiting for that to snap off. But never mind. Okay, just a reminder before we wrap it up, on the 10th of July, Sunday. Sorry. On the 10th of July, Sunday, we've got a Bunnings event happening. Bunnings is one of our major fundraising days that we do. So it means a lot to the club. So if you're free on Sunday, the 10th of July, between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m., drop an email off to Phil and he'll work out a roster for you. If you're not available to do a full shift, partial shift is fine, as long as everybody chips in and lends a hand. We might be able to make a bit of money. Just a word of note, one of the older amateur operators on our network is Laurie, VK4ACW. Laurie's in his 90s and he gets on the radio every day and has a bit of a chat. That's all Laurie has got.
Anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise is his call sign. That's all Laurie has got on the radio. He can't get out and about. He's partially blind, so he's confined to his unit. So we get up there occasionally and have a chat with him. There was a gentleman that Laurie is a member of this club, by the way. There was another gentleman, Keith, VK4MBH, who used to get up and talk to Laurie every day and keep Laurie company. They go back years and years and years. Anyway, unfortunately, Keith has just passed away. There was an announcement on WIA News on Sunday, you might have heard it. He's become silent, Keith. So, as you can imagine, Laurie's been beside himself. He hasn't been the same, hasn't got the regular crowd to talk to, obviously. So if you hear Laurie on the air, just pick up the mic and say good day. Even if you've never talked to him before, that's what our hobby is all about. We had a day in the park a few weeks back for a gentleman that's on a wheelchair. He can't get out and about much. That's what our hobby's all about. We get out there and help our friends. So if you hear Laurie, I don't know him personally, but if I hear him on, I say good day, and please do so. All right, that's about all I've got. We haven't got time for the refreshing course on the...
Anybody interested in more on the fixed radio? Anybody put the national one? Someone wants to have a play.
Okay, if someone wants to come up and have a play, please feel welcome. But officially, that's the end of proceedings.
Thanks, Ralph. Thank you.
Thank you.